Morning. Live to ride, ride to live. Now this is a very unusual fully charged episode because, as you can see, I'm not driving a car, we're on two wheels. We're riding a motorbike. This is called the Motochimp. This is something that appeals to me hugely. I am on private property, viewers, which is why I'm not wearing a helmet. I'm at Williams, the F1 team and engineering works, because there's a connection between this bike and Williams, believe it or not. I will explain that later. I'm very excited because I've been wanting to ride this thing for a long time. I have a bit of an interest, a bit of a fetish for small motorcycles, but specifically ones that can fit into the boot of cars. Then you can drive somewhere and then you can just reach into the boot, grab a motorbike and have another journey. And that's where this comes into its own. This is a little motorcycle made by a company in Singapore called Vanda Electrics, who historically make BMS's, battery management systems, and I think control systems, but they've just branched out into the motorcycle and also the car world. It's just a really jolly thing, and what I love about this, and the reason why we all agreed that it should be on fully charged, is because it's got charisma. It's a vehicle which has something about it. It has cheeky charm, doesn't take itself too seriously, and that is what Vanda Electrics wanted. They wanted to create an urban, zero-emission motorcycle that you could fit in your flat, you can put in the boot of your car, you could probably take it on a train, but it has some really neat features which I'll start to go through. It's impossible not to be blown away by it, just because it's so hilarious. But the thing about the Motochimp is there's actually a lot of substance to it. This is a stainless steel and aluminium frame. It kind of looks like a travel toothbrush or something like that. It's very weird. And in the back here, you twist and you pull out the battery pack. So in here is the lithium ion battery pack, and then you've got the controller and the BMS. All the gubbins lives in here. This is the key. You wipe it over that red dot there and it makes the bike switch on. You can have more than one of these, so that is your key. It's just a twist and go. Look, it's an automatic transmission, twist and go. You've got disc brakes here, which look like disc brakes off a mountain bike. Solid wheels. It's an in-hub electric motor on this, 48 volts, 350 watts. LED lights, of course. You've got four little switches just on the bars here. Can you see? One of them's a horn. That one. One of them is the headlight. Then indicator left, indicator right. Press it again to cancel it. Really neat. Look at these. Beautiful. And there, can you see this tiny little dash readout? This is the lights denominate how full your battery state of charge is. I'm half charged, I think. And then this is a digital speedo when you're going along in kilometers per hour. The handlebars at the moment are like a BMX, really. You've got 4 Torx bolts. Slacken those off and it'll come down, but the production version of the Motochimp, they reckon, will either be able to break the bars down, quick release, or some other method, which makes it even better, because then it will go from being a metre high to being about half a metre high. This is a metre long. It's about 60 centimetres wide, including the bars. So it's not a very big thing. They reckon the production ones will probably be about 35 to 40 kilos in weight. This one's more, but I could still put this in the boot myself of the car. And if you come around here, Lynn, this is the name of the 9-year-old girl that sketched this bike, and that's what inspired the creation of the Motochimp. You've got the beautiful retro style LED light. There's loads of chrome on it. That's why I like it. It's chrome, it's two-tone, and under here it's not too techy. You just release this. You've got a 3-pin plug. You plug it in, 1 hour, it's fully charged. It'll do about 40 miles on one charge. And they say the production version in here is going to have a phone charger. So you stick your phone in before you ride, slap your seat down, go, ride, and this is charged by the time you get to your destination, which is very cool. There's not a lot to this bike, and that's what I love. All the complexities are hidden. Look at the script. Beautiful retro style script. It's going to come in 3 colours, blue, yellow, and this one, red. The great thing about the pegs is they're rearward facing, so for tall people with long limbs like me, instead of sitting like that with frog legs with your knees poking out, it's actually very ergonomic. because you can sit more upright with your feet sloping back. It's actually really comfortable, which is ridiculous given how small it is. It does 20 miles an hour, which doesn't sound a lot, but it's ample for an urban little tiny machine like this. I really think that Honda have missed the trick with this, because 2011 they did a EV version of their classic foldaway bike called the Motochimp that they brought out originally in the early 80s, and they brought this concept out in 2011, and I was like, you've got to build that bike, and they never did. And I reckon this is where Vanda Electronics, they've been inspired by the Honda Motochimp, and they're going to build it. This is coming out this year in 2017, and in England probably 2018. What a great little thing though. It is a bit like the bastard child of a toothpaste tube and a piece of Lego and those Pez children's sweets that you always got on French exchanges. I don't even know if you can get them in England. They were called Pez. The history of the sort of fold-away, natty little moped dates back to the World War times, 1930s, something called a Brockhouse Corgi. And they used to drop these Corgi parabikes for troops in containers for use on the front line. And then fast forward to the sort of 60s, and it was all about Honda and the monkey bike, the CZ100 and the Z50 with fold-away bars and a seat which collapsed. And then you got an electric motorbike in the 70s which came out in America called the Orienthetic Charger, which ran on 2 car batteries. I think it was 24 volts. Real basic thing, but quite cool. I bought one on eBay and got completely scuppered. They never sent it to me. I'm not bitter about it. But this is so much better than the sum total of its parts. And if they bring this out for about £1,300 to £1,500, that's awesome. They quote the Motochimp as putting the enchantment back into personal travel. And who am I to argue with that? Because there is something enchanting about it. And I can't stop smiling because you do. There's a mirrored building and I'm looking at myself, and it is ridiculous, but it's also really good fun. To me, this is going to do what the Fiat 500 has done to the small car world. It just makes it look really stylish, endlessly customizable.
Very nice.
So yeah, the Motochimp will go into production. There might be different levels of trim. The basic, most affordable one might have a traditional key to start it. So I guess you can ride this, I would have thought, on the equivalent of an old car licence like mine, which allows you to ride up to 50 cc's. I really am quite enjoying this, despite the fact it's ruddy freezing, because on a really grey, wintry day in Oxfordshire, this is bringing some colour and actual charisma. I'm not doing either of those two things. I'm just hanging on. People don't take you seriously when you've got an electric motorbike, but I think it's so relaxing. You don't have to put earplugs in. You can compose your thoughts a little bit more. Of course, it's just twist and go. There's no gearbox. I first saw this Motochimp, or pictures of it, back in November 2016 at the Shenzhen Design Fair in China, which is where it was revealed to the world, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was absolutely bonkers and brilliant. Wonderful idea. Useful though, genuinely useful. I could see myself driving down to London in my EV, parking just outside and then cruising in on this. Why not? 40 miles is awesome. And you know, when you go into like a coffee shop and you nab their socket to charge your phone up while you're drinking, I wonder if I could get away with wheeling this into a shop. The acceleration is not what you class as blistering. I get the impression they've had to tone down the performance of the Motochimp, probably for taxation reasons, or it could be so that people can ride it on a car licence. But if this does indeed go on sale in Britain for about 1,300 quid, it's actually fantastic. Gonna do a bit of a Dougie Lampkin, you know? It's quite an addictive thing, this bike. I knew it would be. As a piece of design, I just think it's wonderful. It really does look like a 60s coffee machine that's had some wheels bolted to it. It's also prime territory for customization. You can imagine different designs, different paint jobs, different bars, different wheels, different seat. I'd love a seat with like an embroidered mermaid on it or something. You know? Chopper handlebars, just... Yeah, anyway, bye. Imagine one of these in the boot of your electric car, just be so good. Or this is just ideal for the back of a camper van. It's even got that 60s style about it, that retro style, which would probably fit perfectly with a VW camper or a nice old British motorhome. See those guys folding push bikes like Bromptons and stuff? This is that kind of style. I could really see this being the sort of Brompton equivalent of the motorbike world. It's not bad, is it? You plug it into a normal wall socket, 3-pin plug, and an hour later it's fully charged and you can do 40 miles. That's a lot of miles on a little tiddler like this. That's a lot of miles. This is Williams Advanced Engineering Centre, so that's Williams F1, and that's where they do all the kinds of things like the battery builds for Formula E. And it's also the place where the company that makes this are doing their next project, which has 4 wheels. And it looks a little bit less retro than this. I'm going to go and take a look.